Alrighty, so I'm back doing a review on the road, this time coming you live from a hotel in Austin as I just got back from going to the game between the San Jose Earthquakes versus Austin FC at Q2 Stadium, which we'll talk about that game in this review where I'm actually going to do part one of the review, looking at the six games, the 7:30 p.m. Eastern time start, and then of course I'll also talk about the game I went to. And yeah, what's kind of interesting about this match week is that this actually was a good week when it comes to road team. I mean, road team actually did very well in the way where there's only two teams at home that were able to get a win, but unfortunately, one of those teams that got a win at home in terms of this match week happened in the game that I just went to. So yeah, we'll get to that game in just a bit. But first, let us talk about the first game, which is the Canadian Classic. And as usual, I have my notes on my phone here, so I'll read the notes in terms of what happened in this game. And well, this game, for a bit, there were kind of some lull time, and I will say that this was nothing compared to the massacre that we saw early in the season. At least it was a bit more competitive, but man, there were definitely some late drama in this game. I mean, it felt like the Canadian Classic, there was MLS After Dark kind of drama that happened in the Canadian Classic late in this one. Now, in the first half, Bryn Hinson would put it wide on the header just 75 in before Sealy just missed wide from close. Besides those two chances, not much really happened in the Canadian Classic early on. It's been a tight game so far early on. Corbeanu would hit it right to Gillier, but in the 29th minute, Gillier would deny Osorio in the front post as Toronto started to gain some steam a little bit, looking to try to get the opener. Franklin would miss wide from the corner before Bryn Hinson was in on goal there, but he was absolutely robbed by Gillier there in the 44th minute. Yeah, that is one that Bryn Hinson will want to have back, and one that, again, for Bryn Hinson, TFC fans, they were really hoping that he can get going because, as much as he has been getting himself in good space, he has not been able to put away chances. And when you are tasked to do that as a number 9, I mean, that's kind of what you're basically judged. It's not just about getting into some good space. If you are able to put those chances and be the clinical finisher, it doesn't really matter if you get yourself in those crucial space. But in the second half, not much really happened in the beginning of the second half either. Again, at times this Canadian Classic was a bit of a lull, but then things kind of picked up, like I said, late in this Canadian Classic. It started with Owusu heads it wide from the corner in the 67th minute before Corbeanu puts it wide from close range. But then in the 80th minute, Johnson absolutely robbed Owusu from a free header there. I mean, Owusu, we have seen him score those headers this season. He couldn't believe he was robbed by Johnson. But then on the other end, Corbeanu would hit it right to Gillier, and all of a sudden, the game had become end-to-end. I mean, again, for the most part, it was a bit tight in this one, but now all of a sudden, the game started to line up. Both of these teams were pressing to try to get the winner of the Canadian Classic, and Montreal thought they got it in the 83rd minute as Dante Sealy would score from Duke to make it 1-0 in favor of Montreal. Yeah, that was not great set-piece defending from Toronto. I mean, you cannot leave one of the most dangerous man, at least in the last couple of games for Montreal. Dante Sealy has been scoring at will in the last couple of games, and yeah, he's not going to miss that chance, especially with how hot he's been in lately in terms of the goal scoring for him. So yeah, that made it 1-0 in favor of Montreal. Looked like they did enough to get their revenge, right? Well, not quite, because 6 minutes later, TFC would equalize as Osorio would get the equalizer. So the captain still has it for TFC. I mean, it's hard to believe he's still with this team. He's going to definitely get a statue in front of BMO Stadium once he does announce his retirement. What a legend he is. Probably one of the more underappreciated player we ever had in this league, being with this club. Really, ever since his youth days with this team. But yeah, this moment happened when Gilly actually made a great save for Vincent there, but it falls to Osorio, who puts it in on the rebound, and yeah, just like that, the game was tied up at 1 apiece. But then in the first minute stoppage time, the post would deny Vincent from close range. So imagine if that would have been in the back of it. That would be interesting to see what Joe Anthony Vincent would do. I mean, he's a guy that is a Quebecer through and through. He's been with the Montreal Academy for a long time. I mean, it's going to be very tempting to celebrate, especially when you score a last minute winner in the Canadian Classic. But I think deep down he'll probably won't really celebrate too much because, again, he really loved Montreal, and it's kind of unfortunate that now he's playing for the rival through this trade that we saw in the summer transfer window. But in the second minute of time, speaking of post, it would deny Jaime from close range. So we almost saw two two guys that are with their team for the first time. Well, actually, for Vicente, this is not the first time he's appeared for the team, but for Jaime, this is his first appearance for Montreal, and what a debut that would have been in scoring a winner in the Canadian Classic and get a revenge moment for Montreal after that 6-1 beatdown that they suffered for at home. But yeah, like I said, the Canadian Classic, it was after dark magic again. I mean, there was some crazy action late in this one. But in the end, it does end in a 1-1 draw in this one. The shots in this one, 17 shots per 11 that Montreal has. 5 shots on goal for the 2 that Montreal has. 2 shots off target for the 6 that Toronto has. 4 shots as blocked for the 5 that Montreal has, and possession-wise, 45% possession compared to 48% possession, compared to 52% possession that Montreal has in this game. And I'm kind of interested to see how both of these Canadian teams will deal with this offseason, because both of these teams are kind of in a similar path. I think for TFC, they're a little bit ahead of this deep rebuild compared to Montreal. With the way that they're kind of in the beginning phase of this rebuild, and especially maybe they'll have something similar to what TFC did with their deep rebuild, which is get a bit of a boost after they're able to spend money on players, and hope that of course will be enough to get themselves back relevant, though that's going to be easier said to be done, because as I said, Montreal, it is owned by one of the worst owner in MLS, and when it comes to spending, I mean, they have spent a bit more amount than you think that they did, especially this summer transfer window. But when it comes to really splashing out the cash, like what we see with TFC done recently with Georgi Mihailovic, don't expect that's going to be the case for Montreal whatsoever. Now, moving on, in terms of the next match, is the Red Bulls and Columbus, which ended in a 0-0 draw in this game. But for the Red Bulls, this feels like it's the second game in a row where, yeah, they're going to be left very frustrated that they didn't get more points in this one. And really, this is the second time we've seen in a row in these last 2 games where they had a grade A chance late in the game. It was a free header late in the game. And if they would have scored in this one, this would have been 3 points. And going back to the Charlotte game, if they would have scored that late equalizer by Emo Frostberg from a free header, they would have got a point against Charlotte and would have snapped Charlotte winning streak as well. But instead, it ends in a 0-0 draw, and it was a game that, believe it or not really a lot of chances happened in this one. Though I say that, but in the first half, just 1 minute into this game, Choupo-Moting would hit it right to Schulte before he was in on goal there, and rounds Schulte as well, but somehow in some way it was clear off the line by Arveston. It wouldn't have counted either way because the flag went up for offside, but that is one that Choupo-Moting, if that one actually was not offside, he's got to bury that one. I mean, that is one that for a goal scorer like him, he usually buries that one into the back of net, but he would kind of save a little bit of blemish because of the fact that even if that one was buried, it wouldn't have counted because the flag came up for offside. But there was no doubt the Red Bulls started the better side. They were looking for the opener. Schulte would deny Choupo-Moting from close before he denied Nealis from close range. The Red Bulls were definitely pounding on the door early on. They were way better in this game compared to the Columbus Crew, who I have no idea what is going on with Wilfred Nancy's side. I mean, I think, as I'll mention in a bit, they'll be probably happy that they got a point out of this game, but this looked like a very un-Wilfred Nancy kind of performance. I didn't even recognize that this was a Wilfred Nancy side with the way that they played throughout this game. But in the 43rd minute, it looked like Frostberg got the opener of this game, but the problem was the flag did not agree with him again. The flag came up for all offside, so yeah, that's got to be frustrating if you're the New York Red Bulls. But what's even more frustrating is the fact that the Columbus Crew would finish with 0 shots in the first half. That is just crazy. Like, I don't think that has ever happened under Wilfred Nancy, if I'm not mistaken. And again, it just feels like the Crew, they were just going through the motion on the attack, which is, again, that's very unlike them whatsoever. But we go to halftime with the scoreless in the second half. Carmona puts it over from close before Schulte would deny Choupo-Moting again from close range. Red Bulls once again pounding on the door for the opener. Forsberg tried to chip the goalkeeper from halfway out, but he puts this one wide. Before in the 59th minute, Rossi was in on goal here. I mean, it was a beautiful ball that was played Rossi in on goal, and he missed the target. I mean, that is one that you just cannot explain, because Diego Rossi, when he's 1v1 with the goalkeeper, you would have bet your house the fact that he would put it into the back net, but the fact that he didn't even put that one on target just shows you how this was a very off night for this Columbus Crew attack. And by the way, that was actually the first shot of the game, if you could believe, for the Columbus Crew. In the 65th minute, Gastek would hit it right to Cornell. Columbus seems like they finally woke up a little bit, trying to press for the opener. But fast forwarding to the 3rd minute stoppage time, Neal has had a free header there, and he missed this one wide. And again, just a shade of what we saw last week again in Charlotte, where they had a great 8 chances, had a free header. It was Frostberg in the last game that had a free header to at least salvage a point for the Red Bulls. In this one, it was a free header for Neal as a chance to get all 3 points for the New York Red Bulls. And instead, both times they miss, and those are crucial points that they've dropped. I mean, especially with the way that they are in the thick of this playoff races. I mean, that's what 3 points that could definitely gone in the favor of the Red Bulls if they would have put the chances away both time in those 2 games. And I guarantee you it's going to come back to haunt this team if the streak finally comes in, and at the end of the season, where you look at those 2 moments, those are 2 moments that cost the Red Bulls pretty much virtually a win in terms of the 3 points that they could have got in both of this one. But the shots in this one, 8 shots compared to just 3 that Columbus had. That is probably the fewest shot that I've seen a Wilfred Nancy side has had since he took charge of this Crew team. 1 shots on goal for the 4 that the Red Bulls had. 3 shots off target for the 1 that Columbus had. Both teams had 1 shots on block, and possession-wise, 56% possession compared to 44% possession the Red Bulls has in this one. And while Columbus will probably be the more happier side, consider that they were nowhere near at their best in this one, this has got to be concerning if you're Columbus, and if you're even a Crew fan, that this is not the first time we have seen them not play at their best. And with the addition of Abu Ali, you would expect that of course have changed, but so far that hasn't really hasn't changed whatsoever. And they need that to change, because again, this is a team that I've said all season long are consider themselves to be a contender. They do not want to head into the playoff cold, especially when you have a bloodbath in the Eastern Conference, especially with all these good teams in the Eastern Conference that could really be duking out of that. If you just had a bad run heading into the playoffs, yeah, it's probably going to be first round exit again for Columbus, especially facing against those really good teams in the East. But with that being said, moving on in the next match is NYCFC and DC United. And I got to say, I don't know what is it with NYCFC when it comes to losing teams that they should win at home. I mean, it's mind-boggling this season, the fact that when they're playing at home against some of the best team in the league, like Cincinnati, like Nashville, or even the Philadelphia Union, they can get themselves a result against those teams. But then when they face against teams like DC United or even the Houston Dynamo early in the season, when Houston were pretty much putting a second team in that one and they still lost that game at home, I mean, I don't know what is it with this team not able to beat teams that they should beat. And this is something that drives even NYCFC fans even more crazy, because these kind of points that they drop, I mean, this could come back to haunt this team, especially with the way that they're still not that comfortable when it comes to where they are in the standings in the playoffs. But in the first half, the first shot of the game, C. Martins heads it wide from close range before Wolf hits it right to Barraza. Unsurprisingly, NYCFC was on the front foot. They were looking for the opener, and they got it in the 19th minute as Justin Hack, a very unlikely source there, but he scored for Martinez to make it 1-0 in favor of NYCFC. And you're thinking, well, this looks like it's going to be an easy win for NYCFC, right? They're going to roll over DC, because DC is pretty much thinking about the golf course rather than playing in this one. But after we go for a period where not much really happened, DC ties the game up. It's Priani that ties the game up at 1 apiece, and it feels like DC probably saw what Eric Ramsey's been doing all this time with Minnesota. And I'm pretty sure a lot of teams are seeing what Eric Ramsey is now doing with Minnesota with the long front. I've seen that is starting to become more and more of a theme throughout the league, and I'm not surprised that is the case. Once you see something that works in the league, this is a copycat league. Every team is going to try to replicate that, and in this case, DC tried to do the long throw in. It caused a little bit of a chaos, and then it was finished with an absolute banger from Gabriel Priani, whom, as much as some DC fans might hate him in terms of how he's been performing as a DP, he's been still able to score these banger kind of goals as well at times this season. So he scored here to tie the game up at one apiece. But we do head to halftime with that score. In the second half, Paglo puts it wide from close range before Barraza denied Fernandez from close. He then denied Fernandez in the near post, and you're thinking, well, here we go again, NYCFC. This should be it, right? They have the momentum again. Look like they're going to try to get the lead again, right? Wolf would then hits it just wide from close range, but then in the 77th minute, completely against the run of plays, Priani would score again. This time he scored from Benteke to give DC a 2-1 lead. He comes off a lightning counterattack for DC as well, and that was the final score of this game, as NYCFC really didn't show too much pushback late in this one, and an already eliminated DC side somehow in some way able to get a win on the road in this one. The shots in this one, 10 shots for the 8 that DC had, 2 shots on goal compared to 4 that NYCFC had. So yeah, NYCFC was able to hold DC to only 2 shots on goal, but those 2 shots on goal went into the back net. 1 shot off target for the 2 that DC had, 4 shots on block compared to 4 that DC had, and possession-wise, 61% possession compared to the 39% possession that DC has in this game. Now, the good news, I will say, for NYCFC, if they do make it to the playoffs, at least they don't have to play these bad teams at home. The bad news is they're probably not going to have home field advantage whatsoever, maybe besides the first round that is. And even worse news is that they're not a team that does well on the good on the road either. So yeah, again, just these are kind of the points that will definitely drive any fan base crazy, of the fact that how in the world are you doing so well when you face against some of the best team in the league, especially when you're playing at home, and then somehow in some way you do this against some of the worst team in the league. I mean, I've said before, maybe it's because of the baseball dimension, but that still doesn't really explain the fact that how is these bad teams able to do much better against NYCFC in a baseball dimension kind of pitch compared to good teams that play NYCFC just have no answer in a baseball dimension pitch that NYCFC play throughout the season. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But that being said, moving on, in terms of the last match before I'm actually going to switch the board, looking at the last 2 games, is New England and Charlotte FC. And I got to say, for Charlotte, it looked like that streak was going to come to an end. Like, as we get later into this one, with the way that Charlotte was it was New England really pushing to try to get the win in this one, I thought that streak would come to an end. Even if New England doesn't get themselves that second goal to win the game, they still would have potentially snapped Charlotte 7-game winning streak that they have in this one. But there's a reason why Charlotte is on this magical run. It just feels like whatever they have done throughout this magical run, they always will find a way to win a game. And yeah, they did it again in this one. It's now 8 wins in a row. They're only 1 away from tying the record that the Seattle Sounders, of course, set. And I actually look it up, and they actually did it twice in their franchise history of a 9-game winning streak. And this, of course, is post-shootout era as well. When you look back at winning streak includes shootout, the winning streak is actually longer than that. I think the Galaxy has the longest with 15 games winning streak, but that was during the shootout era, where the Galaxy, of course, got some of those wins because of games that end after 90 minutes, where, as we know nowadays, if the game ends after 90 minutes, you don't go to a shootout like what we used to see in MLS. But in the first half, the first shot of the game did see Langoni hits it right to Kalina after just a bad giveaway from Charlotte. That's something I usually don't say very often, especially doing this winning streak that they had. This Charlotte defense has just been absolutely locked down throughout this winning streak. And in the 12th minute, on the first shot for them, it's in the back of the net, or at least it was close of not being there, because Bronico puts it in here, though this was originally looked like it was an incredible save by Matt Turner. It looks like he was able to save this one off the line, but unfortunately the ball did cross the line before he made the save. So yeah, the goal, of course, given. The assist, then the linesman actually saw that clearly. So yeah, the goal, of course, was given. It was 1-0 in favor of Charlotte. But that was pretty much it in terms of the chances. Not much chances really created, at least in the first 21 minutes. Only 2 shots for both of these teams, 1 shot apiece. The post would deny Yusuf from long range in the 23rd minute, but then a minute later, New England ties it. It's gotta go. He scored from Campana and Heel to tie the game up at 1 apiece. Westwood looked to respond from the free kick, but he hits it onto the roof of the net before Heel himself looked to try to score from the free kick, but he hits it right to Kalina. But we do head to halftime with the score tied at 1 apiece. In the second half, Campana puts it wide from long range before Marshall Ruddy puts it wide from long range. I thought both of these teams were exchanging some chances early in this second half. Langoni would then have a shot that was deflected and struck the post, but then there was just chaos in the box, and Charlotte is very lucky that there was a foul that was called in the box, because, yeah, that was a very chaotic sequence. New England looked like they were going to punish Charlotte for not clearing their lines, but the whistle by the referee rescued that Charlotte defense in the midst of the chaos. Hill would then puts it high from long range. New England definitely have the momentum. They were pushing to try to get the lead now. Campana would miss wide from long range before Kalina would deny Hill from close in the 86th minute. But then in the 88th minute, completely against the run of plays, it's Idian Tokomati. He's been absolutely red hot ever since the sale of Ajuman, and he scored again here from Westwood to give Charlotte the lead, just completely against the run of plays as well. One that, again, I don't think a lot of people saw that coming, especially with the way that New England was really pushing hard, and it feels like Charlotte, maybe this might be the end of their winning streak as well. And you know, the old saying goes, all good things has to come to an end, and especially, you know, Charlotte usually does not have a good record against New England. I mean, I talk about in terms of the all-time record, besides the first ever win that Charlotte has had against New England, which all Charlotte fans will always remember that moment. They actually have only won once against New England ever since they got their first ever win in franchise history against New England in their expansion year. But in the third minute stoppage time, Abada did look to finish it, but he was denied by Turner, and then Shankly tried to tie it up late from the free kick, pretty much the last kick of the game, but he hits it right to Kalina, and the full-time whistle was sounded, as Charlotte have become the second MLS team to ever record a winning streak by more than 7 games. The winning streak is now at 8 games. They have a chance to tie that winning streak that the Seattle Sounders set twice in the post shootout era. The last time, of course, was back in the 2018 season. So that is, and it's not going to be easy, because the team that they're going to have to try to tie the record is none other than Messi and friends and Inter Miami in terms of next weekend. But the shots in this one, 20 shots per 9 that Charlotte had, 6 shots on goal per 5 that Charlotte has, 4 shots off target per 1 that Charlotte has, 7 shots on block per 3 that Charlotte has, and possession-wise, 56% possession compared to 44% possession that Charlotte has in this game. And New England, I don't think they play a bad game in this one. In fact, I thought they played a great game in this one. But again, Charlotte, it just feels like they have that devil magic right now. I mean, when you're on a winning streak like this, sometimes you're going to have to rely on a little bit of a luck and a little fortune that goes in your way. And there you go. We saw that late in that game, some late game heroic to now extend the winning streak to 8 games, and now are really breathing down the neck in terms of the top 3 team. I mean, this is a team is on a mission to try to maybe even do the unthinkable, and that, of course, is trying to reclaim their spot at the top of the Eastern Conference, and maybe even win the supporter show as well. Imagine telling that to Charlotte fans before this winning streak, that you would have been called absolutely insane if you would have expected Charlotte would go on this incredible winning streak. Especially the winning streak all started after they come off a game where they blew a 2-0 lead against Orlando City. I mean, that's definitely something I definitely did not expect after that game, where they go on 8 games in a row to not only get themselves back in the playoff picture, but now are a serious contender, I think, to maybe run the table in the Eastern Conference. But with that being said, I am now going to switch board and look at the last 2 games, including the game that I went to earlier tonight at Q2 Stadium to finish the review of match week number 31, at least part 1 of this review, that is. Alright, so now looking at the last 2 games, starting off with the mammoth match that we had in the Eastern Conference between the Philadelphia Union and FC Cincinnati. And not only it's the battle between the top 2 teams in the Eastern Conference, but a battle for supporter shield supremacy as well in this match. And I gotta say, this match definitely lived up to its billing. I mean, this game really felt like a playoff game with the way that there was chances on both ends, and you know, the scoreline could have been even more different in this one, and the winner of this game could have been much more different if one of these teams, or if not both of these teams, were being a little bit more clinical in terms of their finishing. Though part of that is because the goalkeeper for both of these teams definitely comes up big with big save, but in the end, it's the Union, the one that gets the big 1-0 win in this one. And what's even more impressive is that they did it despite the fact that they were down to 10 men for the last 30 minutes and definitely had to withstand some heavy pressure that Cincinnati was putting late in this one. Now, in the first half, the first shot of the game did see Hagelin miss wide from close before the post would deny Sullivan and the opener for the Union. Baribo would then puts it wide from long range. I thought it was a lively start to this game. And again, in these big games like this, sometimes you might think there might be like a feeling out period. There was no feeling out period in this one. I mean, both of these teams were going gung-ho. They really want to get the first goal in this one. Rake would then deny Hagelin from close in the 60th minute before Ilowski puts it just wide from long range. Baribo would then miss wide on the doorstep of goal before, on the other end, Rake would deny Denke from close range. So, again, chances were coming in on both ends, but the question is, who can finally show that clinical finishing and finally get the opener of this game? Well, Bukia tried to do so from the corner, but he puts it wide before late in the first half, Saltano was able to deny John Jack from close, and we do head to halftime scoreless between both of these teams, despite the fact that both of these teams had their fair share of chances of going in front in this one. In the second half, Ilowski tried to go in front for the Union, but he puts it high from long range, but then just 1 minute later, Union would go in front. As Diamante, the last guy I would have thought that maybe would be the guy that maybe scored the only goal of this game, considering his luck in front of goal has been pretty much non-existent. But he scored here from the header from Milowski to make it 1-0 for the Union. That sequence all started because of a bad giveaway from Cincinnati. So yeah, in the big games like this, when you make those kind of mistake, yeah, you're going to get punished more times or not, and Cincinnati was punished for making that mistake. Baribo looked for another, but he heads it wide in the 54th minute, but there was no doubt the Union had the momentum. They were now looking to try to press for another. Evander would then hits it right to Rake, but then the 60th minute, Macania would get himself a second yellow card. So this looked like it was going to change the balance of this game. It looks like the Union was pretty much in survival mode in this one, but that didn't really happen, at least for the first couple of minutes, because the Union actually got a couple of chances to make it 2-0. It started with Saltano denying Ilowski from long range in the 62nd minute, and then he denied him again just 2 minutes later, this time from close range. And like I said, it doesn't feel like the Union were playing down to 10 men. It felt like they didn't get the memo, the fact that they shouldn't keep attacking when they're only have 10 men on the pitch. They would continue to try to push for the second goal. Now, eventually, Cincinnati did started to get more of the possession, and the Union did really start to sit back and trying to hold on to this 1-0 lead. Evander would miss wide from long range in the 66th minute before Hagelin would hit one right to Rake off of a deflection. Brenner missed one wide on the curler in the 75th minute. I mean, if he scored that, I'm pretty sure that Bailey would absolutely erupt it, especially a great welcome back moment for Brenner if that one went in. Miazga then hits it right to Rake. Cincinnati was definitely throwing the kitchen sink. The Union clearly in survival mode right now, down to 10 men, looking to hold on to this 1-0 lead. Evander would then puts it wide from long range, but yeah, in the end, the Union survived. What a big win this is for the Philadelphia Union, now extending their lead in the Sapporo Shield standing. Now, obviously, that will all depend in terms of the lead that they have. Will depend tomorrow whether or not San Diego can keep pace. But one thing for sure is that the Union are serious about winning the Sapporo Shield, and these last two games have shown that they are definitely in a pretty good spot in terms of trying to win the Sapporo Shield for the first time since the COVID-shortened season. But for Cincinnati, yeah, I gotta say, this has got to be concerning, the fact that, in these big games like this, these are kind of games that you have to win if you're going to consider yourself to be a contender. And I know that Cincinnati is going to be a contender, and this is a team that shouldn't surprise you if they are going to be the team that represent the East for MLS Cup. But the problem is, I have seen this before where Cincinnati aren't able to get it done in these kind of big game kind of feeling, and especially at home as well. I've mentioned the poor form that Cincinnati has had at home. They don't feel as comfortable playing at home compared to when they're playing on the road, and this could be a problem for them heading into the playoffs as well. Especially, again, most of these games is probably going to be at home this season for Cincinnati, and if they aren't able to take advantage of that and aren't able to get wins at home, I mean, it's not really kind of a home field advantage for them, and it kind of in some way kind of play against them, the fact that they rather want to be on the road to win these games in the playoffs rather than, of course, they're playing at home. But nevertheless, oh, I forgot to mention the shots in this one. Both teams had 15 shots in this one. 5 shots on goal compared to 4 that the Union has. 5 shots off target for both of these teams. 3 shots that was blocked compared to 5 that the Union has. And possession-wise, 61% possession compared to 39% possession the Union has in this game. But nevertheless, moving on into the final game, the game that I just went about 2 hours ago now at the time of this recording. And of course, you know, for those of you wondering why I don't usually attend San Jose Earthquakes away games, well, let's just say that I basically have no luck whatsoever when it comes to watching the Quakes on the road and them resorting a win. In fact, of the fifth time that I have a chance to go to watch the Quakes play on the road of asking, all 5 times they failed to get a win. They didn't even get a draw in any of those 5 games. I'm 0 for 5 when the Quakes are playing on the road and attending away days, and I'm probably might not think about attending a Quakes away game for a bit, because I'm definitely feel like I'm a curse to this team when they're playing on the road. Now, that being said, on a more serious tone, I'm also not surprised the Quakes fall on flat their face in this one, and I'm not surprised that they disappoint me again in a big games like this. This has always happened with this team, where when there's a big game like this, when there's a huge playoff 6-pointer on the line, they somehow find a way to fumble it. And guess what? This game felt like a very San Jose Earthquakes kind of game, and a game that just kind of frustrates me about the Quakes this season. It's a game where, on paper, when you look at the stats, they were the better team against Austin in this one. They created more chances than Austin has in this one, but they just couldn't put the ball in the back of net more than one time. And then we talk about defensive mistakes. Man, oh man, there were a lot of defensive mistakes in this one, and all the flaws that I've seen this season with the defense was basically on full display in this game against Austin. And I also want to say, before I begin talking about what happened in this game, I really want to go back to Q2 Stadium. I mean, the atmosphere is absolutely electric. That supporters section that they have right now, it sounds like an absolute party right now. Probably the loudest supporter section I've heard. Probably right up there. Well, I wouldn't say right up there, but maybe just a little bit below LAFC. That is, LAFC probably still have the loudest supporter section, but Austin is not that far behind. I mean, you can hear the noise and also the drum beat throughout, and it was just so great to see, and so great to enjoy that. I guarantee you that it would have been even louder if Austin were doing well, especially from a couple of years ago, from what I heard. People say that, at least from Austin fans, they're saying that the supporter section isn't as loud as it used to be. It isn't as a party atmosphere at Q2 as it used to be, and I can understand, because, you know, Austin has had their struggle this season at home. In fact, as I mentioned, coming into this game, they've only scored 11 goals at home, and it's hard to believe that. I mean, I also would like to say, if you are a team that struggled to score at home, or if you're a team that is struggled to score in general this season, play the San Jose Earthquakes, because they're going to be the team that is kind of like the get-right team when it comes to your offense of woes. Now, in the first half, 3 minutes in, the first shot of the game did see Stuver denied Arango, but he did give up a rebound there, and it falls to Martinez, but he was also denied by Stuver. That is one that Joseph Martinez got to score. I mean, I know Brad Stuver is an incredible goalkeeper, and he's going to maybe run for goalkeeper of the year again this year, but that is one that Joseph Martinez got to bury, especially with the poacher that he is. Well, he did bury it just 3 minutes later. Problem was, he was in offside position, and he didn't need to be in an offside position. I mean, that was just lazy track back from him there, drifting himself in an offside position. So yeah, that denied what would have been a very promising start for the Quakes in this one. Though, as I said, they did create some good opportunity. Martinez would then miss wide from close, as the shots were 3-0 for the Quakes early on. But then the 13th minute, completely against the run of play, Austin would take the lead. It's Bakari. He scored from Wolf to make it 1-0 in favor of Austin. It was the first shot for Los Verdes. It came off of the transition moment, and yeah, I'm not surprised that the Quakes gave up a goal from transition, because this has been probably the biggest Achilles heel with this team. I've said it so many times this season. As bad as this defense is throughout the season, the number one way you can beat the Quakes, especially score a goal against the Quakes, is go quickly on the counterattack. This team just have no midfield and also no defenders that can deal with transitional moment. Every time when the Quakes have to deal with a transitional moment, you're just basically holding your breath and hope that the other team doesn't somehow end up going behind you and scoring a goal, because this team just doesn't do well with transitional moment. And I think after this one, I can clearly see why that is the case, because there's a lot of slow defender. I mean, Reed Roberts, the big culprit in this goal, he was just jogging back in terms of trying to catch up Bakari. I mean, I know Bakari is fast, but he's not so fast enough where he just breezed by Reed Roberts at ease to set up that goal. But nevertheless, that gave Austin a 1-0 lead. Chicho did try to respond, but he hits it high in the free kick. In fact, he pretty much hit it to San Antonio on the free kick. The Quakes getting a lot of possession, as Austin is happy to just kind of sit deep and try to hit on the transition, which, again, that's understandable because, as I said, the Quakes can't defend transition throughout this season very well. Wolf then had a shot that was deflected and goes wide, and then in the 32nd minute, Austin make it 2-0. It's Uzuni. He scored from Wolf to make it 2-0 in favor of Austin. Just woeful defending all around from the Quakes. It all started with Reed Roberts. Again, I don't know why he needs to think about keeping this ball in. I mean, I know he didn't do a good job in terms of judging or taking a great first touch, and that one was about to be going out of bounds. But you don't need to save that ball from out of bounds to save face. In fact, when you try to do that, it can actually ends up to be a worse thing. And in this case, he did save that one off the line that kept in, but he basically went full out to do so. So he was already kind of out of the play and got pickpocket in terms of that. And then when it comes to the defending from the Quakes there, when Wolf have all the time to try to set that one up, there was nobody marking Uzuni there. Yeah, I mean, I know Uzuni has not had a good season for Austin, but you cannot leave him that on mark and not expect him to bury into the back of the net. I mean, I say Uzuni hasn't had a good season. He's been a little bit better, at least in the last couple of games, and really ever since the Vasquez injury. But still, I mean, you cannot leave him wide open like that. That was just criminal defending all around from the Quakes. It was 2-0 up to this point. Vieira did look to respond, but it was deflected behind for a corner before he puts it over from close range. Rongo then heads it wide from close, and we do head to halftime with Austin leading 2-0. And again, this is despite the fact that they haven't had a lot of chances this one, but because of the fact that the Quakes don't know how to defend and have brain-dead moment and can't finish, that's why the scoreline is 2-0. Now, in the second half, the Quakes once again have a lot of possession, but just no way through this rigid Austin defense. Though I say that, but in the 53rd minute, they do get one back, as Daniel Mooney would get one back to make it 2-1 in this one. I mean, it says a lot in terms of how bad this attack was in this game, when literally your center back basically scored the only goal in this game. Dessler did look to respond, but he missed high in the 56th minute before Hindsight missed wide from close in the 63rd minute. Austin definitely had responded well and created a couple of dangerous chances going forward, and that's important for Austin as well, because I'm pretty sure after that goal that was conceded by Austin, you can definitely sense a lot of Austin fans, and I can definitely sense it too when I was there. A lot of Austin fans that you can clearly see that they're thinking, "Oh my God, here we go again." This happens so many times this season where they just cannot hold on to leads, especially the last two home games that is, and they're thinking, "Oh, is this Groundhog Day again?" Like I said, luckily you're playing the Quakes. This is a team that doesn't usually have comeback strength. I mean, I rarely see this team come back on the road for the past couple of years. Not since the end of the Goonies Magic Day that is. And yeah, I mean, again, if you're a team that is struggling to close out games, just need to play the San Jose Earthquakes, because just because they get a goal back, it's kind of like a false hope kind of goal that they score. There's pretty much not many times where you usually see them will find a way to show the mental toughness to get another goal to somehow come back from a multi-goal deficit. But we didn't go for a period where not much really happened, as again the Quakes had most of the possession, cannot break down this Austin rigid defense, and then in the 77th minute, Austin would get that third goal. As Bruno Wilson, of course, scores the own goal here, and yeah, that just kind of sums up the night for the San Jose Earthquakes, isn't it? I mean, a ball that he tried to poke that one behind, got it completely wrong there, and he actually came in for Reed Roberts as well. Roberts actually got yanked after 38 minutes, and I'm not surprised he got yanked after that. I mean, it was an absolute horrendous performance by him. Probably one of the worst performances I've seen a Quakes defender has ever had of all my time supporting this team. But yeah, his replacement didn't act better, because his replacement scored an own goal there to pretty much put the lights out in this one. Up to this point, this is when I actually started to I actually kind of not really leave the stadium early, but I was kind of in the concourse a little bit, left my seat and started to trying to catch up to the Minnesota game as well, because I knew this game was over. There's really no point watching this from the stands anymore. Buda would then hits it right to Stuver in the 86th minute. And by the way, I was actually still sort of keeping an eye on the game on the TV, so you can't say that I left the stadium early. I didn't really leave the stadium. I was only in the concourse section. Before, in the third minute of stoppage time, Harks would miss from close range. But yeah, in the end, Austin, they needed this one badly. I mean, with how things have gone for this team, this is exactly what the doctor ordered. And like I said, if you need a win desperately, especially if you're playing a big playoff 6-pointer like this, if you play the San Jose Earthquakes, I guarantee you're going to get a win, because how many times I've said it so many times with this team, when there's a big game like this where playoffs could be on the grabs, or can improve their chances in terms of seeding, more times than not, the Quakes would let me and the fan base down. And once again, they let the fan base down again with a huge loss that can be a huge damage in terms of their playoff chances. The shots in this one, 9 shots for the 19 that the Quakes had, 5 shots on goal for the 2 that Austin had, 2 shots off target for the 7 that the Quakes had, 6 shots on the block for the 5 that Austin had, and possession-wise, 58% possession compared to the 42% possession that Austin has in this one. And while Austin gets the big win in this one, we'll see whether they can build on that. But for the Quakes, yeah, looking at that September schedule, with them still have to face against some of these tough teams. I mean, I don't want to say they're officially done when it comes to the playoffs. I'm not going to say they're completely out of it, especially when the fact that I think by the end of tonight they're still above the red line, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just double check on the standing here on my phone. I believe they are still above the red line, if I'm not mistaken. So again, I can't say that they're done when they're above the red line. Yes, they are still actually above the red line right now. They actually have a 3-point gap over the Houston Dynamo of all team, but obviously that can close down maybe to just 1 point, depending on what the other team is going to do, like RSL and Dallas, that have a couple of games in hand over them. And actually, I say that they actually no longer control their own destiny, because I just see that both Dallas and RSL not only have 2 games in hand, but the gap is only 5 points for Dallas and 4 points for RSL. So technically, yeah, I mean, the Quakes, I mean, they're back in that situation where they don't control their own destiny and have to rely on help from other team. And I don't like it when they decide to do that, and especially with a tough schedule that they still have to play 2 of the better team in the West, that is LAFC and San Diego. Yeah, the playoff hopes and the playoff just dreaming also. So them sneaking into playoffs, that's kind of on a little bit of a life support right now when you look at this Quakes team. But there you have it. That is pretty much it when it comes to the review of part 1 of these 6 games. Tomorrow, I'm not going to actually do part 2 just yet. I'm going to actually do the review of the Leeds Cup third place match in the final tomorrow, and then on Monday I'll do the review looking at the last 5 game that is. Oh, did I also forgot to mention that the Philadelphia Union also clinched a playoff spot? So obviously there was 2 teams that clinched a playoff spot. The Union actually become the second team to clinch their playoff spot. The third team, of course, is Minnesota United, who also clinched their playoff spot. I'll talk about how they did it on Monday as well. But either way, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys leave a like, smash the subscribe button, and yeah, I of course will see you guys next time.